This movie makes me want to dress up as Batman to save the world. At first I put off watching it because of its runtime, and I can say now that that was definitely a mistake, so let's take a look at the movie. We start off with a man in his apartment watching a political debate. The way the writers use this debate to introduce exposition to the story is really cool and it feels natural. Seeing the masked killer behind him get revealed as the man walks away is a type of reveal that is always cool no matter what form it shows up in. Robert Pattinson's beginning monologue feels like a mix of American Psycho and Bale's Batman, and it made me really excited for the rest of the movie. He feels like a true Batman so much it's amazing. He says that the bat signal is not just a call, it's a warning, and that fear is a tool. Hearing that makes me think I'm listening to a reading of a Batman comic because it just feels so right. Batman's first fight scene is very well done, and we see him take hits, which is inevitable if you're fighting a bunch of people, and it adds a level of realism to the movie that continues throughout. Afterwards, Batman heads to a crime scene and soon-to-be Commissioner Gordon lets him in. The scene is the murder that the movie started with, and we see that the mayor is the one who got killed. The killer left riddles and something in the way comes in as Batman learns that the mayor's son found him dead. Batman questions himself and wonders if the city is beyond saving, but still wants to try. Again, this is just quintessential Batman down to a T. He will fight an unwinnable battle just to make the streets of Gotham a little bit safer. Alfred and Batman argue, with Alfred wanting Bruce to meet the Wayne Enterprises accountants and Bruce not caring at all, and I do think that Alfred is right here. Bruce is at his most effective when he has a lot of resources at his disposal, so he should probably attend to that. I do like the detective work that he does with Alfred and Gordon, and they find a flash drive because of it. The drive sends pictures out, and on one of them, the Iceberg Lounge is shown. Batman heads to the lounge, and after a quick fight, the Penguin comes out to meet him. He claims not to know who the woman in the pictures is, and Batman recognizes a pair of boots, so he follows the owner of the boots, Selina Kyle, home. She changes into a black jumpsuit and climbs down the fire escape. Batman is intrigued, so he follows her. They fight for a bit, and we see there are disadvantages and advantages put on display. Batman is stronger but not as nimble, while Catwoman is the exact opposite. They never call her Catwoman, but it's obvious that's who she's meant to be. The Riddler shows up on the news with a video of a woman in a saw trap and says he will keep killing until the Day of Judgment. I really like this new version of the Riddler. He feels like a new character entirely, but also pays homage to the original. The Iceberg Lounge is just a cover for a club that is hidden within it used as a mob hangout, and Selina says that she sees a lot of upstanding citizens, quote-unquote, go into the lounge. This type of thing is just another way for the writers to show just how deep the corruption goes in Gotham. Getting Gotham right is important for any story set there, and here it feels like the Gotham from Joker in the current day. Criminals run free, and the cops and elected officials who try to take them down are overruled and undermined by the ones whose pockets are filled by those same criminals. The Riddler also killed the current police commissioner and left another letter. The commissioner was also apparently one of those upstanding citizens Selina was talking about earlier, and the Riddler had pictures of him as well. Batman gives Selina spy equipment and sends her into the lounge to get intel. This sequence of Selina walking around and seeing all the corrupt people looks cool, and Selina getting distracted hearing about her friend feels really natural, and because of that, we see that she knows Carmine Falcone, who she claims not to have a relationship with. This type of plot progression is nice to see, especially after watching Ant-Man 3 last week. Every character does things that their character would. The Riddler attacks his next target, this time being the DA, after he leaves the Iceberg Lounge. We find that the Riddler's killings are all tied to the Maroni case. Gordon and Batman realize they can't trust anyone, and that really adds to the whole detective thriller aspect of the movie. It's them or bust. Bruce and Alfred have a touching scene together, with Alfred giving him cufflinks that Bruce's father gave him. Bruce arrives at the memorial and sees Selina getting out of a car with Falcone. Shots go off outside, and a car drives into the cathedral. The DA was the one driving the car and has a ringing phone and a bomb attached to him. Batman approaches the DA and reads the note on his chest. He answers the phone call and talks to him live on the news. The Riddler says if the DA says the answers to 3 riddles, he can go. The DA admits to taking bribes and gets asked the name of the informant on the Maroni case. The DA refuses the answer, and Batman begs for it. The scene is beautifully tense and had me on the edge of my seat. Obviously, Batman is going to survive, so the writers have to make you wonder not whether he'll live or die, but rather, how is he going to get out of this? And as the clock winds down, you begin to realize he won't get the info in time, and then the bomb goes off. Batman wakes up in the GCPD building. The officers hold him in a room, and I like how Batman is instantly ready to fight a whole room of cops just to protect his identity, and it's also a cool reference to Arkham Origins. It's odd that none of the cops tried to take his mask off while he was asleep. I'm guessing Gordon made sure no one would do that, but it's still interesting to think about. Gordon clears the room and helps Batman escape. The whole escape that Batman does feels so human and real. Bruce has only been doing this for 2 years and isn't that great at the whole superhero thing and has to make things up on the fly, and even when he does, it doesn't always work perfectly. This definitely would hurt. Batman and Gordon track Penguin to a warehouse, and after Selina shows up, the henchmen shoot at them. Batman seems to be knocked out by the shots but sneaks to the Batmobile. Listen to her purr. What a car. The creators of the car said they wanted it to look like a car that he had built himself, and I think they accomplished that. It's definitely a different take on the Batmobile, but it fits and it looks beautiful. Batman chases Penguin, and the chase as a whole is so awesome. Penguin's panicked, then thinking he won just for Batman to appear through the flames and slowly walk to his car is just awe-inspiring. Batman and Gordon claim Penguin is the rat and works for the corrupt officials. Penguin says they got the Spanish wrong, and I don't think they would make a mistake like this. We spend the whole movie with Batman figuring things out somewhat easily, and I understand he's a rookie, but you would think Gordon at least would run the Spanish by somebody. Batman uses what Penguin said to find a website and talk to Riddler. He gives them a clue that leads them to an abandoned building, and it turns out the Riddler is after Bruce Wayne. Alfred opens a package that has a bomb in it. The sequence of Bruce trying to reach the house and attempting to call his maid to tell her something bad is going to happen just to find out that the bomb went off an hour ago is edited beautifully. It's revealed that Falcone is Selina's father. The Joker put out a video essay to expose the Waynes and their mob ties. This is a good reveal, but I find it funny that Riddler is basically evil Sonny V2 in this universe. Bruce goes to the iceberg this time looking broken and beaten down compared to the first time. His hair is messy. He looks like he's about to throw up. He's clearly taking it hard.
Pause on that.
Bruce goes to Alfred, and Alfred claims that Thomas said to Falcone he would go to the police and then was killed that same night. Selina caught the guy who apparently killed her friend, and he says Falcone runs the city. They do a really good job of doing a slow burn into Falcone's involvement in everything here. He seems like an insignificant side character at first, then we see he has his hands in more and more and more. Selina leaves to go kill Falcone, and Batman chases her. Batman cuts the power to the lounge just as she shoots at Falcone. I love the flashes of gunfire showing the panic of the henchmen and how methodical Batman is amidst all the chaos. After Selina fights a few goons, Falcone strangles her and admits to killing her mother. I wish Selina had realized he was the killer after she heard the recording of her friend being strangled by Falcone. Her mother was killed by strangulation, and now she was being strangled by Falcone. She could have said something like, "Oh, it was you." If they didn't want to do that, they could have just left it ambiguous and let the audience come to its own conclusion. Batman stops her from killing him and walks him outside to the police. Falcone says that the cops work for him, and after talking to Penguin, Falcone gets killed. The Riddler shot him from his apartment, then went down into a diner, and the police arrest him. The police go into Riddler's apartment and find another letter. It says, "My confession." The Riddler asks to see Batman and reveals that he knows who Batman is and wants to be remembered. He says that Bruce isn't a real orphan and didn't go through the same difficulties growing up. The funny thing about this is that it made me look at how I view Joker. The two of them are really similar in terms of falling through the cracks, but you feel for Joker just because we see him transform and we understand why he does what he does. We get Riddler's reasoning, but for most of the runtime we only see his negative effects. They are very different from each other though, with Riddler going after the ones he blames for his bad upbringing, and Joker just having fun and doing what comes to him. Riddler loses it and says that Batman can't stop what's coming. Batman goes back to the Riddler's apartment and takes another look at the murder weapon. He uses the weapon to rip up the carpet and finds the password to a video on Riddler's computer. Riddler set up 7 vans with explosives and used them to destroy the dam around Gotham. The Riddler's followers have been radicalized and are going to kill the refugees from the flood in Gotham Square Garden. They shoot the mayor and Batman shows up in a spectacle. The fight versus the henchmen looks a little janky, but it's fine and not too jarring. Batman hangs on the edge of this walkway about to die, and then Selina saves him. This would have been a little bit more impactful if we hadn't seen him hanging and then saved himself a little bit ago. It's not a plot hole because he clearly is a lot more tired than he was then, but it still feels a little off. Another henchman attacks Selina, so Batman takes an adrenaline shot and beats the guy up. I like how he goes overboard because I'm sure taking adrenaline like that would definitely hype up your level of aggression, especially if your body gets it in a rush that way. The water gets into the garden and Batman has a death fake out. This does not work nearly as well as the first one because there is no intrigue. You're just left there wondering what the point of an obvious fake out sacrifice is at this point in the story. Thankfully they don't drag it out and he comes up out of the water. The mayor is still alive after being shot by the henchman, but she definitely has an infection from that water. This shot of Batman leading the people out with a flare does look really cool though. Batman has a monologue talking about his changed perspective, and it's kind of overly on the nose with how it explains his character arc, but I can forgive that because they're trying to show the mind of Batman, and he seems somewhat straightforward in his reasoning at least. Selina asks Batman to leave with her, but he wants to fight for the city. He then rides with her back to Gotham, and they go their separate ways. I really enjoyed the detective aspect of this movie. The 3-hour runtime is utilized very well, and because of it, we get to slow down and look deeper into these clues and riddles. I feel as though Bale's Batman movies were more action and drama focused, and because of this, later adaptations moved away from Batman being the world's greatest detective and made him the world's greatest fighter. This new version feels fresh, and I really appreciate the new direction they took. Despite the fact that they went in a new direction, there are still some callbacks to previous Batman properties, like the Arkham reference I talked about earlier. Listen to how Batman says psychopath here,
Psychopath,
and how he says it here.
the psychopaths.
The voice of Pattinson's Batman is pretty close to Bale's in general, but it's a little less gravelly. The suit looks like a slimmer version of the Batfleck suit, but I definitely prefer this one over that one. There are more, but I wanted to hit on the main ones. That aside, this movie looks absolutely beautiful. Instead of the vibrant colors of Joker's Gotham, Matt Reeves went with a much darker look, and despite the darkness, you can see everything fine. The shot of Batman looking up at a helicopter, the Batmobile coming out of the fire, and Batman walking up to the Penguin's upside-down car are some of the best shots I've ever seen in a superhero movie. Robert Pattinson really nailed Batman and brought a new look at Bruce Wayne that we haven't really seen. Bruce here is a lot more reclusive and clearly obsessed with being Batman. I can understand wanting Bruce to be a playboy billionaire to keep up appearances, but I can also understand Bruce ending up like this after his parents being killed in the way that they were, and I can appreciate the risk taking. Overall, I think there are some flaws in this movie, but I think it is pretty good, and I definitely would watch a sequel.
That's right. We